Five Nights at Freddy's Into the Pit is the next big FNAF game that is now out everywhere for the big 10th anniversary and features, whoa, a lot of lore, secrets, and Easter eggs. So let me take you through the entire game from start to finish and reveal every single thing you might have missed, as well as explaining those things you did see. So without further ado, please subscribe, turn on notifications for the FNAF Supreme Guide coming soon, an over 24-hour long video a whole year in the making, and let's begin. Before we begin, the game has numerous direct references to the short story itself. Of course, it's an adaptation, even with small details such as Jeff asking Oswald if he wants another slice of cheese and a refill of the orange soda, his order from the story. So I'm not going to go over every direct pull from the book itself. But when heading to Jeff's Pizza, Oswald and his dad drive past some buildings. Going from left to right, there's Gino's Pizza, which is a direct pull from Into the Pit, with Oswald stating that the pizza there was good, but that they closed down after the mill closed. There's a bunny-shaped hole, smiley face-shaped hole, and a spring-trap-shaped hole in the windows. There's a Bunny Bowl sign from Security Breach with cheese and a drawing of cheese graffitied over it, with WTF next to it, and a lot more graffiti saying hello twice, 2015 or $201 K, can't really tell, no bunny, meow, follow me, James Mess or Moss, 395248, the code for Fredbear's Family Diner minigame in FNAF 3, Gmob, I think, 19-something, 1985 and 1983, sheesh, help them, wanna something S, stop signs, something 84, he's something do, and more that I just literally cannot make out. When we see the Jeff's Pizza logo, we can easily tell that it's a direct reference to the FNAF movie's Freddy logo, with the orange outline, checkered top, and orange bold letters. The price of a slice of pizza and a drink is usually $3.50, but it can actually be $1.50, despite Oswald saying that it's the same every time. In Jeff's Pizza, the music playing on the speakers is the Toreador March, which is featured all over the franchise. In the backstage of Jeff's Pizza, there's a chair with a star on it, a direct pull from the FNAF 1 pizzeria's chairs. When you enter the ball pit, the pause menu drawings change. This isn't the only time either, a lot of people miss this. They can turn into Nightmare Bunny, Springtrap, Burntrap, the Mimic from Tales, and more. Also, I haven't gotten this myself, but apparently Eleanor can actually appear as a shadow behind the ball pit randomly, which is in the files, but I didn't think it was actually in the game. Whether this is real or not is questionable though. When speaking to the pizza snob kid, he will say, "Oh, the humanity," about pineapple on pizza, which this might be a stretch, but it could be a callback to that same line from The Immortal and the Restless. We got the first official look at the original animatronics back in 1985. These aren't the FNAF 2 or FNAF 1 versions and instead meant to be the originals. What I think is Shadow Bunny appears for a second from, of course, FNAF 2, but also from another Stitch Wraith connected story, Hide and Seek. Although some say this is just Pit Trap, I don't know. The rules for safety is actually pulled directly from FNAF 1. The hidden words actually fit the same amount of words from the FNAF 1 rules. At the entrance, Oswald finds a coupon for Foxy's Pirate Palooza, which is a direct reference to the coupon from the survival logbook titled the exact same thing. You can honk Freddy's nose from the Freddy cutout at the entrance of Freddy's. In the arcade, there's a machine that looks like Balloon Boy's Air Adventure from FNAF 3, with the same blue outline / background, and there's also the machines that seem to be from the FNAF 3 location, with the faces on the top left or right of the screens. There's also a prize machine which features a direct reference to Mike with the Foxy mask, his appearance in FNAF 4, with the exotic butters, his reward he got in Sister Location. There's also what looks to be a bounce pot toy from FNAF World. Not really a secret, but most people didn't ever see it, so when you beat Mike in the first minigame, he simply says, "Wow, somebody beat me? That was some fine rolling, Oz." In the storage room, the calendar says June 1985, which is the same month the missing children incident occurs in the game timeline, with the year also being accurate to multiple timelines now, and so assumedly the games would carry it over too. The storage room also features a Fredbear's Family Diner poster, as well as the same poster from Security Breach with the same number. This will come into play later. The storage room also answers the fact that Golden Freddy was indeed never a public thing, and was just put in storage while the others performed. Golden Freddy also being surrounded by Fredbear posters seems to also confirm that Golden Freddy is indeed an older version of Fredbear, and that they're one and the same. We then get our first look at what I like to personally call Pit Trap, which itself helps explain to everyone that this isn't actually time travel, and is more so traveling through memories of the agony, which we get more hints of later when the animatronics are immediately possessed literally as soon as the kids die, and also with visions of where their children once were flashing in and out, further proving that this isn't real. And it's made clear by the fact that there wasn't actually a creature dressed as Spring Bunny with giant fangs that killed the kids in reality. Really, it was just William Afton. This is a memory, not the real thing. On the way back from the storage room, we can inspect the arcade machines. And one quote of Oswald's is, "Wow, whoever GGY is has the top score on every game. They must be really good," being an obvious reference to the GGY story and the fact that the same high score is also on top of all the arcade machines back in Security Breach. When you get back to the entrance, you can actually just do the simple thing and literally just leave. This will give you an ending where we see Oswald walking away from Freddys and wondering, where do I go? What do I do? In the background, you can also actually see the front of Freddys. In the dining area, you can go to the candy machine and spam into Rat, and eventually you will actually get a secret minigame. It does not matter what night you're on, you can do this immediately. This minigame is actually showing Millie Fitzsimmons from another Fazbear Fright story, Count the Ways, showing the possibilities of death. Starting with the dehydration represented by the cups, starvation represented by the cupcakes, freezing her to death represented by what looks to be ice particles, impalement represented by the arrow through the heart, boiling represented by the boilers, and then decapitation by the hands of him, Funtime Freddy, seen here with his bonbon arm too, just to confirm that it is about Count the Ways. This is confirming that this game, despite being a retelling of the short story, is still connected to the other Stitch Wraith connected stories from Frights, aka the Stitch Line. Some people say that this game is confirming that the Stitch Line is within the game timeline, while others say that it's just fun Easter eggs, while others say that it's a soft reboot of the Stitch Line that feeds cleaner into the timeline. I'll go into that mess later. If you head to the end of the dining area to the stage, you'll notice the animatronics are now acting haywire. This is obviously hinting at their new possession. Why? Well, head to the party room and we get to see the freshly killed missing children. Only 5 children were killed, but there is a 6th here. Most people theorize this to just be Charlie, as she's always been the 6th grouped up with the missing children, but others theorize it to be about Andrew. I personally think that this is grouping Charlie in with the others, which has happened ever since FNAF 2, as all we really know about Andrew is that he died by Afton's hands, wanted revenge, and really nothing else. And since the MCI was reported as only 5, even as recently as the movie it's only 5, it seems he wasn't killed with them, and Charlie is definitely more likely to be the 6th grouped up with them than Andrew is, whose death and location of it is still a mystery to this day. In the party hallway there's a bunch of references, such as the 3 paper pals from FNAF 6, and then you personally being able to interact and add a 4th, which is actually a FNAF 2 paper pal. There's also the exact same Freddy and Bonnie poster from FNAF 3, the Celebrate poster from FNAF 1, a version of the Toy Bonnie poster from FNAF 2, the exact children drawings from FNAF 1, and the Chica and Bunny poster from FNAF 3. Also, in random places in the pizzeria, once everyone has cleared after the murders, there's a chance for kids to randomly appear and disappear as visions of some kind, further proving that this is not actual time travel and is just memory mixing. Backstage on the first night, there's also the first dad item, Dad's wallet. When traveling from location to location, there's a loading screen with usually a tip on the bottom, but sometimes there's actually some messages that appear instead that are not marked as tips. Everyone loves our pizza, especially Chica. Too dark to see? If only you had a flashlight. The animatronic characters here get a bit quirky at night. It's amazing that the human body can live without the frontal lobe, you know. The strings lead farther. You won't die, but you'll wish you could. He will come back. He always does. Bonnie keeps to himself, mostly. Here at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, we highly encourage you to interact with our animatronics. There is no way out. It's me. Then we arrive at Oswald's house, whose room is basically just a giant FNAF 4 reference, with a similar bed, extremely similar toys, pictures, the damn fan, etc. Also on the right wall, there's a poster hanging up for Rigor Mortis, one of Millie's favorite bands in Count the Ways. Interestingly enough, Oswald has drawn the FNAF characters, including Spring Bunny, despite never having seen them before. I still have no idea why he's drawn these and put these up even before he ever jumped in the pit. Also, a fun Easter egg is that if you stand by Oswald's window and just simply wait without moving, eventually, I'm unsure if it's timed or random, I didn't stop watch it when it happened to me, the Stitch Wraith will actually appear in the window. It will disappear if you try to get close to it. This is proof that the Stitch Wraith and its connected epilogues plus stories, as you'll see more proof of later, are indeed canon in this timeline. You can also trigger hallucinations when you stay in the dark for too long by turning off the lights in the room. There's also a random chance that the Godzilla parody poster will actually randomly transform into the Twisted Ones cover. No idea why it's there, but it is at random. When heading up into the basement, a Freddy mask will drop down, this being used to trade later. But some have theorized that with Cassie's dad being the bunny bully and Mike being the foxy bully, that maybe Oswald's dad is actually the Freddy bully due to having his mask in the attic. Once you get Oswald's dad's phone, you can actually call more than the numbers in the list already, such as 911, which they tell you services have been suspended in your area for budgetary reasons, and also use the number from the Fredbear's Family Diner poster Pizza 1-800-083 to call Freddy Fazbear's Pizza and get the Golden Bite offer, with exactly 83 slices of cheese smothered in a molten layer of fine exotic butters. This being a direct reference to the Bite of 83 done by the Golden Fredbear and caused by Mike, who gets exotic butters later. Also, I don't know how it was discovered, but by dialing 777-4648, you can literally hear William Afton getting spring-locked, the audio file even being called Purple Guy Death A. This is the official sound of William getting spring-locked. This should carry over to the game timeline whether the whole game is in game time or not, as it's using the spring-lock scene from FNAF 3 as the basis for the death sound, the evil laughing at the children to the instant karma. You can also call the number 787738 to hear a brief jingle of the music box from FNAF 2. In your contacts, it's even saved as music box. However, it will also play a jump scare audio and alert the animatronics to your location. There's also 626453, which gets you some Mangle static audio. Also, Pit Trap actually has voice lines. After you've escaped the house, you can then travel to the mill, which actually has the trash in the gang in the dumpsters. This seemingly being the exact dumpsters that Dumpster Diver Weekly found them in for FNAF 6, where you could buy them. Fun little bit of world building and more small scale lore. Also, there seems to be a toy Bonnie something. I'm not sure if this is actually an animatronic or just a toy. Once back at Jeff's Pizza, you can actually use certain items you find throughout the game to repower the arcade machines, and actually play them. When doing so, the wrench noise played is actually the first few notes of the Toreador March. Thanks Ritos for messaging me about that. To play the Help You Lees minigame, you can use the weight resistant mechanism to reactivate it, which by the way, this minigame was actually a concept created by DJ Sturf, as confirmed in a comment on Dorko's first playthrough video, each minigame getting you new music and some tickets which will come into play later. You can use the puzzle matrix to reactivate the Solve the Puzzle minigame, you can use the Space Age speakers to reactivate the Fast Food Invader minigame, you can use the control panel to reactivate Collect the Hats, which you can hop on the second platform on the left, which doesn't seem to get you anything to actually go left into a secret area, where you can keep going left and eventually find Purple Guy throwing away another hat, which you can catch to then go back to the exit and have 6 out of 5 hats. You can use the power supply to reactivate the Deliver the Pizza machine, you can use the Electron gun to reactivate the Shoot the Space Balloons machine, you can use the wooden balls to reactivate the Pizza Roller machine, you can use the token slot to reactivate the Rescue the Children machine, and you can use the voucher validator to reactivate the prizes machine. Also within the Collect the Hats for cannons and cannonballs are purple, which is a simple reference to the purple guy who's also in that minigame. Every time you reactivate a machine, there'll be a message that pops up really quickly that translates from binary to always watching. Also, if you interact with the news board in the arcade, you'll read win a free tour to Freddy Fazbear's Pizza Kit factory, being an obvious nod to the Pizza Kit story. Also in 1985's pizzeria within the arcade, the Bonnie neon light is now missing his face, a fun nod to Withered Bonnie. Within the storage room, you can also interact with the presents enough times for a toy Freddy plush to actually pop out of one of the presents, which can be used to trade for the firecrackers as well. Back at Just Pizza, and the room the missing children were killed in is now boarded up, just like what we heard happened after the MCI in FNAF 3. Also in the party room leading up to that room, there's a poster that looks like the FNAF 3 Toy Bonnie poster, next to the Balloon Boy poster from FNAF 3, and a Freddy poster that, to me, looks very similar to the Security Breach Freddy poster, where Freddy looks absolutely done with life. Heading back into the storage in the present day will show a Fredbear Singing Show poster, the same from Security Breach. Also in the storage room, you can use the TVs to get either a Spring Bonnie jump scare or what appears to be Freddy and Friends with the main 4. Within Oswald's class, the numbers 395248 are written on the whiteboard, this being the numbers that lead to the Fredbear's Family Diner minigame in FNAF 3, and the numbers on the back of Cassie's father's Faz wrench in Ruin and Help Wanted 2. At the basketball courts, there's a kid who literally puts his thing, you know, it sniffs it and looks horrified in what he smelled. On the basketball courts of the school, a kid in the bully group will say a har har har. instead of the usual ha ha ha, a reference to a meme accidentally started by Abdul to see where he beatboxed to Living Tombstone's FNAF 1 song. In the next class over, you can go search the bookshelves and Oswald can find a book titled Nothing Divided in Half is Nothing, which is a reference to that same quote said in What We Found from Lewis. Now just a random book here for some reason. At the front of Oswald's school, Westbrook Middle School, the flag on the left pole is actually the flag of Utah, where FNAF takes place in almost every timeline. Also outside the school is the sign from Kids at Play, which is actually a human, their remains on the floor. Also outside the school, Gabriella will give you her uncle's sketchbook, which is extremely interesting. The first page is for Chica and describes her beginning to smell bad due to the children's corpses being inside, and how Chica started making garbage nests and stole food, which is likely where Glamrock Chica got her trash and food obsession from too. The second and a later page is about not strumming Bonnie's guitar, which seems to be a reference to Abby strumming Bonnie's guitar in the FNAF movie, especially at noting poor kid. The third page seems to be referencing the Bite of 83, with the jaws are still unpredictable with the new models. The fourth page references the image of Freddy trying to take off his own head in FNAF 1. The fifth page is about Chica piling up trash in the game. The sixth is about the cupcake biting, which seems to be a reference to the FNAF movie, where the cupcake continuously bites people, although some believe the part about the cupcake growling could mean that Susie's dog might be possessing the cupcake, explaining why Afton says he knows where it is. Gabriella tells you that her uncle seems to be some sort of technician. Back in time, and once you've lured Chica with a piece of pizza, suddenly the phone guy will actually call you. That's right, it's the return of our favorite character. His speech isn't too important and is basically just the same as FNAF 1 about the characters moving around at night, and this actually happens in night 1 and seemingly all other nights. On the third day when you go to the fridge, you can actually get the number for Jeff's Pizza and call him. Also on the third night, after luring Bonnie away, you can head to the arcade and go to the ticket eater to get 5 different vouchers. Using them all on the prize machine will get you a secret minigame where you play as Greg, the protagonist of Fetch, as you go around the pizzeria picking up balloons, eventually going to the prize counter where Fetch is, just like the story. As soon as you leave, Fetch comes out and kills you with a message "See you," which is exactly how the short story ends. This seemingly confirming that Greg did indeed get killed by Fetch after the story, and that this is the aftermath of the "See you" message. This also confirms that Fetch happens in this timeline too. On the third night, there's the second dead item photo of Oswald. On the left in the storage room, there's another this night too, the family vacation photo in the middle of the kitchen. There's no real secrets or Easter eggs on day 4, but at night, you finally use the firecracker to stun Freddy and get inside of the security office. Within this security office, there's not only the fourth dead item, his wedding ring, next to the kitten lockers, but there's a bunch of mini-arenas from Sister Location, or possibly a reference to another Fright Story room for one more. A balloon boy on one of the screens, with another screen camera with the text Cam 1280, which is a direct nod to the man in room 1280. Yet another Stitch Wraith connected story. Also, this camera sequence is basically just a reference to the classic FNAF style gameplay, where you just search the cameras for animatronic movement. Also, something not many people have noticed, but switching to the room with the MCI will allow you to hear the memories of the screaming children. Also, Freddy will occasionally peek into the security room and start playing his music box, just like he does in FNAF 1 when the power goes out. Also, there's the chance as you run towards the exit that Pit Trap will jump scare you briefly, just like a Phantom would from FNAF 3. On the final night 5, once you head into the pit, when you come out of it, Pit Trap recreates the cover of Into the Pit itself, just for a few moments. Also, you can call Jeff's Pizza and Phone Guy will pick up, stating the iconic line, "We always come back." Once in the pit and Pit Trap isn't chasing you anymore, simply go into the security office room, open your phone and call your mum. This will actually begin another hidden minigame. This time you play as Eleanor and you must grant Sarah's wish. Rebuild her from a normal form, slowly up to a beautiful form, giving her the necklace, which also appears in Tales from the Pizzaplex's Frailty story, and once you finish, she eventually twitches and turns into a pile of metal, this being a retelling of To Be Beautiful, a Stitch Wraith connected story. This confirms that To Be Beautiful does indeed happen in this timeline. Also in the storage room is the final dead item, his name tag. This now unlocks a strange photo later in the night of William and Henry in partnership. This is the coloured version in the files. Also in this night, just like the FNAF movie's final night, Freddy and Bonnie are on stage while Chica is the only one out and about. Not really an Easter egg, but later in night 5, we actually get to see the full party room. This is where it all happened. Once you crawl through the vent from the party room, you can see a plane on the desk on the left which might belong to the crying child, similar to how it belonged to Garrett, Mike's younger brother, in the movie, as well as there being what looks to be a classic fan, It's Me in the mirror, and the FNAF 1 Help Wanted newspaper. In the middle of the room there's a Balloon Boy figure which could be a reference to the Balloon Boy figure from the FNAF movie. Also on the right of the room is what looks to be an Endo 02, as well as a picture from the original book trilogy of William Afton in Spring Bonnie and Henry Emily in Fredbear, in their trustful partnership before everything went wrong. This image being an achievement in the game too. Here's where 2 endings can happen. If you didn't get all the dead objects and the photo in the party room of William and Henry, you'll get the ending where Oswald is dragged back into the pit and we see Spring Bonnie tying Oswald up and seemingly killing him, aka the bad ending and the 1-star ending. Also an Easter egg is that Oswald is wearing a party hat that looks like Ennard's. If you do said tasks though, you'll manage to kill Pit Trap and it'll be a recreation of the book's ending, with some incredible animation may I add. However, after the credits, Pit Trap awakens once more and seemingly kills Jeff. This is the 2-star ending. The only difference in the 3-star ending, which you get once doing all the secret endings in one run, is that instead of Jeff dying, the family has a night out at a popular looking Jeff's. There's also another secret ending if you fail the QuickTime event at the very end, where Oswald will be jump scared and eventually wake up with all the animatronics being friendly and simply waving. Waving like Glitchuck does in FNAF Help Wanted, with Freddy making the same sound he makes when completing the Solve the Puzzle minigame, eventually leading to Oswald heading towards the entrance with Pit Trap in his way. Oswald asks "What am I?" and then his eyes brighten. This could actually be a reference to how in FNAF the dead do forget, so now that he's been killed he starts to forget his name slowly and eventually doesn't remember who he is before he gets taken over. When you complete the game you can access the extras menu and see DJ Music Man. You can also now play the game with a variety of different changes as basically just a custom night-esque mechanic. Also something I missed earlier is that on the main menu if we click around the right side of Pit Trap, eventually a cupcake will appear. Also for those achievement hunters, if you need to trip a bunch of times, simply spam A and D and you'll trip over and over. So what does it all mean? Does this mean the books are in the game timeline? Well, honestly I can't tell what answer is trying to be provided here, if any. This game features a ton of Easter eggs like I've just shared from across the franchise, but also has a lot of direct pull from the games themselves and specific things from the game timeline, even featuring first ever audio for the game timeline Afton death, giving us the canonical William and Henry designs for the game timeline, the fact that Trash in the Game came from Mill's dumpster specifically, the clear confirmation of Golden Freddy being Fredbear, etc. Currently I believe the Tales stories are in the game timeline almost definitely, and that there's a moderate chance that the frights are too, but I also don't heavily wish the frights are or anything, so I'm actually just being unbiased here. I believe that this game can honestly be taken a few ways with these as the options. 1. This is in the game timeline and outright proves all the Stitch Wraith connected stories are in the game timeline. The new lore and confirmations for the game timeline and the fact that this is an official and fully fledged FNAF game show that Into the Pit itself is in the game timeline, meaning the hidden minigames connecting the other stories to this game, Stitchline, mean they also carry over and are in the game timeline. The random Easter eggs are just that, Easter eggs and fun nods, while the things you have to actually do something for, such as the hidden minigames, are more important. 2. This is a soft reboot of the Fright stories, and this adaptation with the future adaptations, Fetch is already noted by Scott to be the one he wants to make next, will be the actual game timeline version and more cleanly fit version of Stitchline. Basically a yes and no, they're in the game timeline, but some things have been changed just to fit cleaner. Or 3. This game isn't proven to be in the game timeline and does not actually change anything in the debate, leaving the question still unanswered. Personally, again with no bias speaking here, I see almost no way there's a 4th option that this game somehow debunks Stitchline and actively proves it wrong, like at all. I think if this game isn't in the game timeline, it simply just means the debate remains unanswered, as it can't both be a fun anniversary non-canon game, but then also be the canon version of Stitchline that would now mean it's debunked, and we have the answer to the huge question. It's either a fun anniversary game that's not canon at all, or it's an actual mainline game that's either a soft reboot of Stitchline or proves the book Stitchline is indeed within the game timeline. Honestly, believe whatever you want from those options and simply don't hate on others for believing otherwise. But personally, I think that this game shows us that the Stitchline from the books is indeed within the game timeline, and currently I will be moving forward with that in mind. Probably. I don't know. Believe what you want. And I guess we'll just have to wait for Scott to hopefully one day just give a non-vague and no other way to interpret this answer, which, good luck to us.